ornamental cabbages, ornamental kales. They're so popular for the fall because they have colorful, long-lasting foliage. So, here to tell us all about it and how to keep it fresh, we have Ed Sourdiffe, the master gardener himself, the green thumb guru. So today we have a plethora of veggies. Let's start talking about these plants.
Okay, well, I brought plants in that can actually take the frost and the cold weather coming up and extend your gardening season so your outside looks good. And up front here I have a regular kale. That's an edible kale. You can see it doesn't look too pretty, but there are versions of that that look really ornamental, like the red kales.
When things say ornamental, can you also eat them, or would you suggest not so much?
I probably wouldn't eat them because these guys are actually bred for the color and the look, where like something like the regular kale is actually bred for flavor. So that's why
you might be able to eat them, but they're going to taste terrible.
Yeah, they'd probably be a little bit more bitter, a little bit more tough, things like that. So yeah, I would stick with the things that are edible. There are edible versions of kale, like red baron, red boar, things like that, that are really, really pretty. They're really curly, they're really dark. I saw one at White Flower Farm this year. It was in a pot with ornamental plants also, and it was so purple that it actually looked black. And
really?
It was amazing. It just had wonderful foliage. So.
Now, what's the shelf life of plants like these? Because for me, at least, my wife and I will buy mums, and they'll be dead in 2 weeks. If we buy some of these, what's the season going to extend to? When will they eventually give in to the winter weather?
Well, your mums shouldn't die in 2 weeks.
Oh,
okay. If you keep them well watered in the sun. And here's a little trick when you go out to buy mums.
Yeah.
If you look at this mum here,
we're looking at it right now.
Yeah, you can see some of the buds are open, but some of them are not. So when you go and buy your mums, try to buy them where the buds are still closed, and then it'll last longer for you because they'll keep opening up through the season.
I gotta
don't just
think about the whole way I've done my mums.
Yeah, don't just go out and get the one that looks the prettiest right now, because then it won't last. Those will go by, and then you'll be stuck with just a green plant.
We want long lasting. Now, how else do we trim these? How do we make them look good for the season?
Well, the ornamental cabbage and the kale, which we have up here, and you can tell the difference. This is ornamental cabbage. The leaves are a little bit smoother. Looks more like cabbage. And if you pick the one up behind you,
yes,
that is an ornamental kale. And you can see that it has more of a frilly kind of leaf. So it actually looks a little bit more like the regular kale there.
It seems like it's in the same broccoli family. I've been growing broccoli, and it has the same dense root.
Yes, actually, kale was the mother plant of broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, way back when. That was the first plant, and everybody else came after that.
No way.
Yeah, and it was actually, it's been in cultivation or use of man for 4,000 years. It was found in Asia Minor, and so that's its history. When they actually got these ornamental versions of that, this was like a turn of the 20th century, and the Japanese actually did some breeding to get these great colors. They come in like white. I have this one here that's really very pretty. A nice big white rosette on the top. Then they come in the purples and the pinks.
Show everybody at home this one, because this is something.
Yeah, that is a really good
shot
one.
On this. Oh, wow. Look at that. Now, when they start to wilt, like I noticed on the bottom, some of these leaves like right here are starting to yellow a little. Should we start picking up?
Yeah, just like with a regular kale, if you want to extend your season with regular kale, you pick from the bottom and let the plant grow up. If you see anything yellow, you can just pluck them off like that if they're not good. This one over here, I actually let go a little dry, and you can see kale actually needs water, and because they have such a big, or the cabbage, because they have such big leaves, they actually give off a lot of moisture by transpiration, which is they're breathing off moisture, and they're using it in their leaves. So what you would do, because they're in a smaller pot like this, is actually probably soak the pot in a little thing of water for about 15 minutes, and that'll really absorb the water. They'll fluff up again and look good. So you want to keep them pretty moist. Because you're going to buy these like this, you don't have to worry about putting them in sun where they would normally grow in your garden. You can put them on a shady terrace or anything like that. So you don't really have to worry about where to put them, just about watering. And you don't want to keep them in a saucer of water either, because then they would kind of rot.
And the saucer itself could freeze given a really chilly night.
Yeah, and that wouldn't hurt these guys. These guys, the great thing about ornamental kale and cabbage is that they can take temperatures down to 10 degrees without a problem.
For all winter? Like, will it last for a good amount of time?
If it didn't go below 10 degrees and it would just come back up, they would keep lasting. A little further south, they'll last through the whole winter. But up here, the snow will come and they won't look so hot. Mums basically are only good to about in the 20s. So this is like a really good thing. And then after, like I've had them last all the way to Christmas. So they'll totally work through November for you. If you want to go longer, you could even cover them if you have a really extremely cold night.
Could you take them inside if you wanted to? Would they work?
Yes, you can take them inside, but these are like regular cabbage. They're a cool weather crop, so they would actually prefer it on like your if you had a cool sunroom or a really cool area of the house that's really bright, they'd be really good there.
I get you. Okay.
But they also smell a little cabbagey. I had them in the Jeep on the way here, and I left them overnight. And
I didn't want to say anything. We were loading it in from your car earlier. And it made the whole studio smell.
Yeah, like, well, you know, some people like cabbage, so
yeah,
it's
so
not a bad
keep
smell.
them inside if you love the smell of cabbage, and maybe keep them outside to impress your neighbors all season long.
Yeah.
Now, later in the show, we have a little bit more time with Ed because we're going to talk about how to prepare for frost, the little things that you need to do so that next year you'll have a whole lot better of a garden. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And these do look really cool. I think I might buy them because I obviously can't grow mums well.
No, you will.
One day, with your tutelage, I will. Now, I want to check in with 22 News Storm.